online. So for a good CV, it has to be coming from yourself to approach to either recruiter or jobs. Without that approach, your CV will never be seen online. But LinkedIn is a very, very good tool for us to let people to know you and for us to approach you, because once you set up a LinkedIn profile, it's kind of like Facebook. We are able to look at your career details, your academic details, and potentially what do you like to share, etc. So I would suggest a lot of engineers that I see and I come across, they don't really have a LinkedIn profile. But then I would highly suggest you, if you want to strengthen your profile in the market and to be approached by more people, then LinkedIn, it's really a good tool for you to register and set it up. So yeah, B and C will be a good tools for you to look for a new job. So moving on, a CV. Let's start from top to down. I think when you talk about contacts, we have to put down our name, phone number, email address, and things like that. So a very practical example is I come across some young people. I mean, they put down their name. For example, a lady would put down, let's say, mary.princess@hotmail.com. Or maybe I see a guy who played basketball. He put down kobe.chan@gmail.com. These are email address that you have to avoid, because these doesn't sound professional. It might be fun for you to set it up when you're at a young age, but now you're at your career where things are a little bit more proper. So I would highly suggest you to register an email that it's your name and surname. For example, if you have a common name, let's say Peter Chan, there are hundreds of Peter Chan, then you would say Peter.Chan, and then maybe your date of birth, for example, 0106. If you're born in 1st of June, put something like that. That's kind of proper. Or using underscore, that should help you to use an appropriate email address. And for phone number, I mean, most of us are from Hong Kong, but if some of you are applying an international job, then I would highly recommend you to put your phone number, your mobile country code as well. So Hong Kong will be +852. So when the person who reads your CV, they will understand that, oh, your number is from Hong Kong, and they know how to contact you, or how to actually make a call to you. Okay. Moving on to the next, professional summary. So I always tell my candidate that do not waste tons of time to write it, because if you write it too long, the HR manager or the line manager will not be interested to read it. So imagine if you got 30 CVs a day, and everyone writes a huge professional summary, and then it will take you 5 to 10 minutes to read it. Honestly, I would not read it. So for practical reasons, I would say avoid very generic terms. For example, telling people that I'm a smart people, I'm a hardworking people, I'm a fast learner. But instead, if you can say that, but you have to back it up with examples, because that is very important for you to back up what you write. So let's make an example. Let's say a lot of you guys are engineers, right? So you guys will be working on a lot of projects in the future. So let's say I am working on a West Kowloon project. Okay, let's say I'll say I'm working on a West Kowloon project right now, and then I would tell them, elaborate what kind of project am I doing, and what sort of role am I in that project. So keep things simple. Make sure you back it up with your own facts instead of just writing generic terms such as smart, fast learner, because everyone who comes to interview or doing an interview will tell me how great they are. But these are very things that doesn't stand out. So what stands out is really yourself. Tell them a little bit more about yourself. That will actually make you a little bit more special. I hope that makes sense to everyone. And then we're moving on to skill summary. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So I would suggest for you guys, put down skill set. For example, you are proficient in AutoCAD. If some of you know how to use Beam, then put it down. So I would say put down something that is really, really practical or useful for your job. For example, if I am working in Japan, it makes sense that I actually write down the language skills that I have. For example, I know how to speak Cantonese, English, Mandarin, and if I'm looking for a job in Japan, it makes sense for me to put down I know how to speak Japanese too. So be a little bit more sensible on the jobs that you apply, instead of very generic or standard CV that you're sending out to every client, because every job you apply might require a little bit different on skill sets. So that part, I hope it makes sense. If you have questions, you can ask me later too. Moving on to achievements. Okay, keep things simple. Statistics, and always support by facts and links. I think that's at your career level of career. Usually people have 1 to 3 achievements probably in their uni times. Maybe if you've started work for 1 to 2 years, then you might have some rookie of the year or young engineer of the year. You might have that too. But let's say if you're a high achiever, you have more than 10 achievements already in your career, pick 3 to 5. Just like your professional summary. Too much information means bad information. So keep it under 5 achievements, and think about the reader. When they read your CV, they feel like it's interesting and not too clumsy and long. Education. I think that one is very, very simple as well. As you can see, there is an example at the corner, bottom right corner. I think that's kind of one of the ways that, the best way to write a CV. So first of all, you have your degree, what you're studying. For example, for this example, you have BSc Economic Computing. For you guys, might be MSc or BSc Mechanical Engineering, and then you put your university in the middle, and then your years. And if you don't mind to share your graduation grade, for example, you have good grades, then put it under there, and make sure the format it's going to the left, and then that should be okay. I think keep that part simple. If you want to, I think this PowerPoint will be shared later, so you can copy that, or if you want to print screen to see that, you can do it now too. Okay. Work experience. So in terms of work experience, first of all, the list of reverse order. So let's say it's your third job. You always put your current job at the top. So people will read it and understand that, oh, okay, let's say Peter, I can see that you are now working in ABC company, and then da 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 da. And then, oh, previously 2 years ago, you were in AAB company, something like that. So always remember to put your most recent up there, include your employer names, positions, and your primary responsibilities. And I have a little bit more to like practical things I want to share, which is, keep your work experience short and precise, just like everything else. I've seen someone who put a lot of time and effort into writing their work experience, which, they have 1 or 2 jobs experience, but it took up 2 pages. It's just too long for people to actually read. So keep it short. Tell them your roles and responsibilities. For you guys, maybe projects that you have handled. If you have a target, tell them what targets you have achieved. So say something in a way that you can be measured. So for example, a salesperson might have a target, let's say $10 million per year. So you would want to put down, I achieved 2022 sales target of $20 million. And for you guys as an engineer, maybe you're working on projects, say something like something that you have changed when you are working on the projects. So I don't know, let's say you are a project coordinator to start, or an engineer. So let's say you have oversaw and manage a main contractor, and you've changed something which turns into a better outcome. So I would always think that you don't have to write a lot, but you have to write something that is interesting and reflect your reality and your skill set to the people who want to read your CV. Okay. And then format, as you can see, a clean CV, it's very nice to read. Where a clumsy and a CV with different format, it's very not attractive for everyone to read. So I would highly suggest you guys to use a Microsoft Word as a CV. I know some people does use Excel, and some even use PowerPoint. But I would highly suggest, Word document. It's the easiest way to do it. And for you guys, make sure before you send out the CV, all the words are in the same format, the font format, and also the size. And if you are not familiar with Microsoft Office, there is a function that on the top left corner, which is the format printer, where you can highlight a format and font size that you want, and then press the format printer, and then highlight back to the area that you want to change. The computer will automatically make the format changes for you directly. So that's very easy, and I'm sure, if you don't know, then try to search it on YouTube or Google. There's a lot of helping classes to help you with that. Final checks. Make sure you do your spell checks. Again, it's very easy if you use Microsoft Words. If it's underlined in red, that means you have some spelling mistakes. So make sure you cross-check that before you actually send your CVs. Again, I guess we don't need to really vote to see which one is better. Clearly, the CV on the right is not the CV that we want. As you can see, tons of spelling mistakes. And then, work experience, there isn't really any elaborations. It's really just, the company, their position, etc. And, when you read that, you first thing that comes into my mind is I feel like this person is very disorganized, and I don't feel like he will be a good candidate. But compared to the CV on the left, we see a very short but precise summary, which is around, I think, 50 words to have a general introduction of themselves. Education, it's very neat and tidy. Achievements, it's straight to the point. 2 to 3 achievements. Work experience, the format, it's aligned to the education. You'll see the dates on top, and then you have the company and position, and then at the end you have some brief introductions. And for skills, this person, you can see he is applying a sales job. So skill set wise, he needs Microsoft Office. He needs good language skills, which means Mandarin, Cantonese, and English will be good. Also, not only that, he also put down references. So, if we want to check if he's a good candidate, we can call Mr. Chan, a professor in City University, to actually give some good comments or give some feedback on Mary. So for me, I think that's it. And I think I will pass my time to Philip now to continue on his presentation. Oh.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Andre, for his sharing. And I'll move on to my part in regards to the market trend as well as to the interview tips in the coming future. But just give us 1 second.
Okay.
Yep, all good. Okay, so next page, please. Okay, first of all, it's an ever-changing market right now because everything is changing. Different industry is adopting a new ways of doing things, a new model, new business model, new operation. Things are going online. So And I do know at a young age, everyone is looking for a new role every now and then. Therefore, when you decide to change job, you will need to realize how difficult it is or what kind of challenge that you will need to face. For example, when it comes to early career, most of the time, instead of the experience that you have done, it's more related to your education background because at the end of the day, with a 2 years experience in the market, most of the line manager, most of the HR will still consider you as a fresh graduate. So basically, if you are looking for a mechanical role in no matter which industry, they must look for a candidate with mechanical background. If you're applying with for accountant role, then they will be expecting a candidate from accounting background as well, rather than your experience. So this could be very critical. However, with different period of time, say when you were in the mid-level, when you were in the senior level in your career, the things expecting from your employer will be different. It will be more related to experience rather than education. So it all depends on the situation. And secondly, the industry knowledge and the passion could be a strong competition as well. But then from our experience, we do believe as a young engineer or as a young professional, passion in your industry does matter a lot because for most of the line manager, they do see that most of the candidate or most of the employees, they don't really stay in a role for long. So how long are you going to stay in the company? What are you going to contribute? What's your passion in it? Because your passion directly affects your effort in putting on your job. So I would say, how you express your passion versus how you express your knowledge to them could be a game changer as well. And then moving forward, there are some tips on how to make a change or when during your interview, what do you want to emphasize to get the role or to get the opportunity. The first thing is obviously the technical skills that you have. Secondly is the market knowledge. Say for example, right now you are a mechanical engineer in the building service industry, but then you are looking to move to a material industry or manufacturing industry. How relevant are you in regards to that industry? Could play a role here. For example, if you do really looking for a change of field, I would strongly recommend you to really look for something that relevant to your previous role. For example, when you were in a building service industry, you certainly interact with different building materials, different supplier, different vendor, different product, different system. Do look for a role that you have similar experience or you have relevant experience that you have been in touch with. Then that will help you have a better chance or a higher chance to get the points from the line manager. And thirdly, character, because as we all know, we got a huge population here in Hong Kong. Every year we got thousands and thousands of engineers graduated from the university, and everyone is simply a blank paper. So how you stand out yourself in terms of your character, in terms of your passion, in terms of your effort, would definitely change your chance of getting it. And I would strongly recommend you to make a plan for your career and then share it to your line manager, because this line manager, they are already very experienced in the market, and they do look forward to hear what's your planning, because they are not simply looking for, most of the employer, they are not simply looking for a candidate to fill in the job, to take the role, but they are rather looking for someone who they could teach, they could share their experience to. So with your career aspiration, with your career planning, they will have the sense of mission to take you into their team, take you in the organization, and to teach you and to train you and work towards your goal. So do make a plan and share to your line manager or to your interviewer. And thirdly, to increase your chance to get the role, do your research on the job or on the sector, and sometimes you even do a revision on the stuff that you learned, on the theory, on the practical stuff that you learned during your education. Because I know that some line managers do test the candidate on these kind of knowledge, this kind of academic knowledge rather than your experience, because you also show how much you know about what you're doing or what you're going to do. So do your research and do your preparation. expand your connections for different webinars, seminar, because one of the things that we learned talking to the senior candidate in the market is that knowing people is always the best tool for you to get to reach your goals or to reach to another level, because with the more connection you have, the better connection you have, the more resources and weapons you have to take on a new role or to expand to a new sector or to a new industry as well. So I think that's pretty much. And then moving forward, well, here's some tips on how to get a new job in 2022 or the years afterward. So as you know, we are no longer in a mechanical or easy industry where most of the time people do most of the industry they do driven by the data or different technology. So be prepared with the data-driven society or the data-driven role in the future, because there's something that unchangeable and we are all gonna face it. So do have a preparation on it. Secondly, I would highly recommend to build a personal brand, because the market is actually very small. As soon as you are in the market, you will then well connect with different professionals. You will be exposed to different projects, different vendors, different client of yours, different suppliers. Your name will be known by different people, and with a good reputation, the line manager do know, because and even during the interview stage, where when you go into the interview, the line manager do ask around on your reputation, because the industry itself is very small. For example, for main contractor, there are only a number of contractors in the world. In Hong Kong, for example, Cameron, Lighton, etc. So they do know different people in the industry, and they will ask around on your brand as well as on your background. So do build a good branding for yourself. And then moving forward to the how to determine the right job for you, we would strongly recommend to do your research, not simply listening to your peers, listening to the recruiter that you are facing. Do your own research on the company background, on the business that they are in, on the team structure they are in, and everything is on the internet right now. Even for a company size, a company structure, you could also do your research on LinkedIn as well. So do prepare for it. And then I guess another thing will be, are they the right boss for you? Because at a junior age, you would rather choose a right manager than the right position. Because a right manager, they could teach you with the relevant knowledge, with different useful knowledge and experience they could provide to you and share to you, and that could be very beneficial to your career. So during the interview, those are a lot of questions on your boss, on your line manager as well. And I think that is very critical as well. Yep. And then, wow, another point is, well, to have a higher chance to get a role or to get the offer from your client. And if you're working with your recruiter, do find the right recruiter for it. Because a right recruiter, we could share our insights to you, we could share our experience to you, we could share our knowledge regarding the employer, the team structure, the culture, the job scope to you, rather than you simply do your research on the internet. Because we will directly talk to the line manager, to the HR, to different people within the organization to get to know about the job. So please utilize your recruiter to get the information you want, and then to share with your recruiter on your expectation. Do share with them on your aspiration, on your career, on the scope that you are in, your specialism, the focus area. Because the more you share to your recruiter, the higher chance they could present your profile to the line manager and to position your profile to your line manager. Because our recruiter will, at the end of the day, we are also a sales ourselves, and we will need to sell our candidate to the line manager. And the more information that we have, the more features of yours, the more benefit of the more weapons that you have, the higher chance we could sell it to the line manager and get them confidence to take you into the organization. So do connect with your recruiter, talk to them, and really engage with them. Yep. And lastly, I could not emphasize more on the skills, soft skill, because things on paper we could read it, we could interview it. However, your soft skill is not something that could be easily changed, and it is something that you definitely need to focus on, because at the end of the day, most of the job in the market, you will need a lot of communication, you will need a lot of problem solving skills, stakeholder management skill. I know it sounds normal, but it's very critical. And actually, most of our conversation with the HR or with the line manager, most of the time they will talk about the communication skill, the problem solving skill of the candidate, because this is one of the major criteria they will assess on the candidate. So do show the line manager, the interviewer, that you have a very strong communication and problem solving skill. And when it comes to problem solving skill, it actually have the same logic as what Andre mentioned earlier. When you put things down in your resume, quantify your project, quantify the challenge that you have, the time that you solve the problem, what kind of stakeholder that you're dealing with in that problem, how you manage to solve the problem. Make a story, do a storytelling to your line manager. That's how you could, illustrate and explain to them how you manage to solve the problem and how good you are in problem solving skill. And to the last session in this part, on the interview. Again, do your research, because you will also affect how you present yourself on your interest to get the role. Because most of the time when we recommend a candidate to share the why they want to take that job, or when the line manager asks you why you want to take it, why you are here today, most of the time you will start with your interest in the industry, then move forward to your interest to this company, the company that you're now interviewing, and then your interest in the team, in the business, and the interest in this role, and then the remaining stuff will be more personal. So with the more research you've done, the more answer you can provide in the interview on explaining to the line manager why you are here today and why you want to get the job. And then during the interview, 99% of the time, you will start the interview with the introduction. And in the proper introduction, most of the time we will start with sharing on your education background, on your professional background. For example, you come from the mechanical engineering discipline, you work in the main contractor side, you focus on a E&M related project, you focus on BMS related project, or for example, when you are in the manufacturing industry, talk about what kind of manufacturing sector are you in? You are in the component level, finished good level, assembly level, etc. And then moving forward to your skill set and your expertise, it will relate to your role. What kind of role are you in your current company? What scope are you in? What kind of skill set are you offering to your job? And then lastly, summarize it with your expectation on this role, sharing to the line manager and the interviewer why you are here today, what you are looking for your next career goal, why you are interested in the organization, in the industry, and in this role, to summarize it. And that's pretty much it. And it will simply take you around 2 to 3 minutes at most for the introduction. And then in the interview, well, I think that's actually very basic and simple. Use a good manner, or use a good manner during the interview. Be positive, be mindful. Well, for example, especially when it comes to communication, be mindful of your non-verbal communication, because most of the time when you speak a lot, sometimes the line manager or the HR cannot listen everything that you said, or they cannot remember everything that you said. So how you position yourself, what kind of posture that you have during the interview, what's your face how's your facial expression like, what kind of body gesture that you make do actually make a difference in the interview. So be mindful of your non-verbal communication, your tone, your gesture, etc. And then do ask a follow-up question, because it's not simply a stage where your employer your future employer interview you, but also a chance for you to interview this company as well, to interview your line managers. So do prepare some questions to ask your line manager or ask the HR, because firstly, you will show that you're interested in the organization. Secondly, it shows that you are prepared. Thirdly, it shows that you are engaged in the whole conversation. So, and we will recommend when you're preparing for the questions, do ask questions regarding, for example, what kind of priorities that you're expecting me to do in the first 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year time. What's the team structure like? What's the culture like? What's your management style? What's your project management style? How is it in the learning and development allowance, and etc. So do prepare your question. And lastly, stay relaxed and be the real you, because you don't want to fake yourself and then end up being someone else when you join the company, and end up it will make you look good at the end of the day. Okay, so well, I think I already explained this part, so I guess we're gonna share this PowerPoint after today's webinar, and then you could take a look on it. And in the end, before your interview, do prepare yourself. Do refrain of how you, the way you think, and be positive. And I will always recommend my candidate to try to think like you already get the job, and then you come into the interview and think like you already get the job, because that's how you can show the confidence of yours. That's how you could show that you're really interested in the role. And with that position, when you ask the question, you will know you will lean towards that way, and you will ask question like, what's your priority? What's my scope expecting from yours? How am I gonna work with my colleagues? How's the culture like? Be like you're already in the company. So that's how you can also affect the thinking or the mindset of the line manager or the HR as well. So do prepare yourself with it. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? If yes, feel free to raise your hand in the Teams room, or just type in the chat box.
So guys, I think we did cover our presentation. Excuse me. But I do think presentation, it's sometimes just something we want to tell you. I think now is a great time for us to actually to answer some of your questions. So I would want to see, what questions you guys want, or, if you have been interviewing companies, feel free to share with us if there is anything you want to speak to us. Oh, you want to do that? Well, I can do that. So I think loyalty, it's a very, very positive thing for a company, obviously. What we see in this trend in this market, it's a lot of candidates have been changing, jumping jobs to jobs, a year and a 2 year, and then, they get 10% increment, and then they change to another company. A lot of company doesn't value that because they couldn't give the security for a company to hire them and feel like, this person will actually commit to this company for long term. So let's not think it from your side. Let's not think it from a manager's side. Let's say I have a project now, which is 5 years. I want to hire a person to complete this project. And if I saw a CV that, this person have been changing company, 1 time a year, then I would be very likely to think that this person is going to, change in a couple years time when someone actually gave them a better offer. So I think loyalty, it's very important. And I do think most of my placements, or, most of my candidates who got a job from me, they are a little bit more stable. So by stable, I don't mean you have to stay in a job for 10 years. I also understand that as a recruiter, you have to, in a way, change jobs to get a better career or sometimes better opportunity. So I would say stay at least 3 to 5 years to at least to stay at least 3 to 5 years before you change jobs. I hope that answers your question. Okay, you want to answer that?
Oh, okay. In regards to the second question, any more examples that you think suitable to ask interviewers? Well, there are actually a lot. For example, let's say in building and construction industry, as an example, besides the question that I just shared, you could also ask the line manager what kind of project that your company are in at the moment. What's the status of that project? What's the position of that project? What's your company vision or your company business in the coming 5 to 10 years time? Because it also showed you have interest or you want to learn more about what's the company doing or what it is related to your role. So if you're in the building and construction side, do ask things related to the project. Say if you are in the manufacturing industry, you could also ask the line manager in relate to the project development, in the product development or the business planning in the coming 5 to 10 years. Because for most of the manufacturing industry or electronic or hardware related industry, they will have a roadmap on what they are going to do in the coming 5 to 10 years. Are they going to roll out another new television? Are they going to roll out another new machine model? And this could be very relevant to your role as well as an engineer. So, and you will also and you could also interact with the line manager, say when they mention a product or a project that you actually have experience on and you haven't shared to them during the interview stage. With this kind of question, it also give you another chance to show that you do have the experience or you do have the skill set that they're looking for, and your skill set actually match with their company goal or their company future direction. So I think that's also something that you could ask as well. Most of the time, I would encourage my candidate to ask in regards to the education allowance or the education benefit, because that also show you that you are not simply here to take on a role, finish your role, take a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 of your salary, and then that's just it of your life. But when you ask education allowance, benefit, etc., it also show that you do have a planning on progressing or equipping yourself with more skills and experience. So I believe there's something very useful as well.
Hi, Alex. Alex. It's fine. It's fine.
You haven't opened your mic. Okay. You need to re-speak.
Hi, Alex. Alex, can you speak?
Hi, Andrew. I'm Alex. Yeah. Can you hear I'm talking?
Hello. You know. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, what kind of competition that you are doing. But anyway, I think you can use it as your own judgment. I think having an engineering competition, it's always good. I don't think it's a bad thing to stay in the CV. But if it's also related to the job that you are working on, it's great. I think for this, you can put in a CV. And in the interview, maybe you can talk about it when the interviewer asks you, apart from your job and things like that, what else do you do on a daily basis or on your leisure time? You can tell them that probably, I am very passionate in engineering, and me and my friends and colleagues actually join in competition and to compete for something. I think this is a great story to tell because we're not just knowing you in terms of work. I think a lot of times that when you are doing an interview, you're not just you're not just telling the people what you're good at. I think you want that person who speaks to you know you as a person as well, because I do think a likable person or a person that is, have letting me know their interests and things that outside of their job give me a lot of credit and positivity on actually knowing that person more and to help that person.
Well, I just want to make some supplement here, extra point here. So, I do have a few real life example in which few months ago, when I was working on for a robotic company, where my client is looking for robotic engineer, mechanical engineer, electronic engineer. The line manager did tell me that I do want a candidate who put down they have joined, for example, the PolyU, the UST robotic competition during his uni time. Because this kind of candidate, right before they enter into the market, they already have a very solid experience in creating a robot, doing product development, and etc. So with this kind of experience, actually sometimes the line managers do look forward to this kind of experience as well. And yeah, I just want to make an example here. Any other questions?
Attendance rate.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it to Coco. Yeah.
I think, is there any more question? I think if anyone want to share, some sort of difficulties, or they have been interviewing companies and they feel like they didn't do great, feel free to tell us your situation. And then we can try to, analysis your situation and see if there is anything you did better, you could have done better, or if you are doing great already. So don't be shy. Feel free to share with us. We're here to help you guys. Okay.
Hello, Andre and Philip. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I guess can we include ECAs? Oh, okay. Maybe another question for now. So can we include extracurricular activities? Maybe I think they're mentioning because as an engineer, we usually have different types of societies, such as IMechE ourselves, and also maybe HKIE, etc. So how do we include these positions or maybe these titles if we take up roles in these societies as well in our CVs, or should we even mention them?
Yep. Wow. Here's few questions. First, replying on your question. Yes, certainly. Do include different involvement in different organizations, society, and membership as well. Because the more you have, the more qualified you can be, and it also shows that you are very engaged with the market and with the industry as well. So we do know that the HR and the line manager, they will want to see this kind of information in your resume. And regarding the question in the chat box, the extracurricular activities, well, I would say it depends, but I would recommend to have it in your resume, but certainly not something that is too how should I call it, inappropriate in a way that these kind of activities should show a positive characters of yours. For example, as you mentioned earlier, a good team player. For example, you play basketball, you play football, or you play Dragon Ball. These kind of activities do need a lot of teamworking, do need persistence. These kind of character are actually something very good to show that you are a very good person or likable person to work with. But things like I guess comic, computer games, not that these are bad extracurricular activities, we also do it, but then we just don't put it on the resume because it doesn't show your characteristic or any military benefit.
Well, I mean, I don't see any direct benefit if you tell them you have military experience, but I think if you have been through a military training, people can relate that you are more disciplined. You are, you're a responsible person. So I think you can use that as a side thing to say that you have these sort of training to enhance your personal character. Sorry, I just one point to add on what Philip just said. I think do put extra, ECAs, but also be smart about it. If it's something like voluntary work, for example, you're doing, visiting old people, donating money, events. Obviously, these are great things to tell company. But if you're, winning some sort of, just like he said, game sessions or anything like those kind of things, it might not be a great thing to write on the CV. So do write the CVs and use your logic as to when you write something down, you can actually say something good about yourself. If you can put that thing relate to something good about yourself, then do put it down.
Yep. And on another question, do you suggest to have fee review CV? Wow. When it comes to building and construction, engineering, manufacturing industry, and when you are in a position as an engineer expert, I actually don't recommend you to use these kind of tools because the CV example that we shared earlier, some are actually simply built from a Word document, and it's already very good enough as long as you put down the right content, you put down the right project, right scope, and right introduction, proper introduction of yourself. That will already been fine. Most of the time when we see a CV from a CV builder, which require you paid it, most of the time it's related to marketing, and I don't think it really applies to our industry.
I think since we only have around 5 minutes, I do want to add on that, Philip and I are excited to speak to every single one of you guys. I also came from years ago, I was very young. I was just starting my career. I didn't know recruiter can help me so much back then. So I didn't really approach to a recruiter until, I think 5th year in my career. So what Philip and I are offering right now, it's to give you a one-to-one CV reviewing session. So if you are not confident in your CV or you want your CV to be improved or enhanced, or you have something that you wanted to ask us that you didn't have the chance to ask us today, do drop me or Philip an email with your CV. And then we promise we will give you a call within the next few weeks to give you, a 15 to 30 minutes of presentation, and consultation to talk about it. So do remember that we are providing that to you guys. Okay. Well, apart from money, which everyone cares, a lot, I would say, first of all, loyalty. I think loyalty is very important. Also, if you're suitable means it's your education background, it's right. If yes, then we move on to experience. If you're a fresh graduate, then likely they will look at your education to proceed on your CV. But if you already have 1 to 2 years of experience, they will look at what you have done in the first 2 years. And it's very likely that if you have the direct experience, that they would like to interview you. So put an example in constructions. So let's say you are a graduate engineering in Atkins. Not Atkins. Engineering, maybe more like in, let's say Siemens, okay? Siemens. And then if you want to apply to Johnson's Control, and then it's very likely that Johnson's Control will want to interview you because your experience in Siemens might be, like Philip said, in the HVAC, BMS, or energy. It will be matched. So I think the most important thing is loyalty. And then the second thing is experience, relevant experience.
Okay, so Philip and Andre, thanks so much. And I'd like to take this opportunity to once again thank Andre and Philip for giving a fruitful workshop for our participants. And we are incredibly honored to have you all today. And your continuous support and participation constitute to the success of today's event. So as Andre mentioned a while ago, if you would like to have the one-on-one CV coaching service after the workshop, don't hesitate to send your CV to Hayes' email shown in the registration link in IMechE's webpage for reserving the CV coaching. And if you also have further questions, you can also send them your questions, I believe. Is that okay? Yes,
Yep.
thanks. Thank you.
Of
Thanks a
course.
lot. Yeah, so that's all for today. And thank you and goodbye.
Thanks.
Goodbye.